Hello aspirants. So in another video lecture, so today we are going to discuss the impact of inflation, or you can say effects of inflation. Now before I tell you the conceptual clarity of this topic, I would like to give you one question, that a very simple question, that what are the impact of inflation on an Indian economy. Now no doubt in saying that if this question will come in UPSC, it will be one of the easiest question that will come in UPSC mains examination. But I know that most of the students, what they are going to write in this way, that inflation has an impact on growth, inflation has an impact on development, inflation has an impact on employment, inflation has an impact on poverty. No doubt this answer is also correct, but conceptually it is not correct. Why? Because when you have to talk about inflation, so this answer has to be written, or this question has to be addressed in such a way that you have to tell to the examiner the degree of inflation, and then you have to tell that what impact it will have on, you can say, on Indian economy. Now ultimately you have studied about, or you can say, you know that inflation has types like creeping inflation. So we have types like creeping inflation, number one. Number two, trotting inflation. Number three, galloping inflation. Number four, runaway inflation. And we have hyperinflation. So we have basically 5 types of inflation. Now every type has its impact or effect. So impact or effect can be positive or negative or both. So keeping this thing in mind, you have to address this question in this way. Now when it comes to creeping inflation, no doubt this creeping inflation has a positive impact on any economy. So this question has been given in the context of Indian economy. So you have to tell to the examiner that creeping inflation has a positive impact on Indian economy. So if you see creeping inflation is the desirable one. Means every economy is looking for creeping inflation. This is what you have to remember. So already I have discussed in some of my video that this creeping inflation act as an incentive for the economy in terms of increase in growth rate, in terms of increase in investment rate, as well as in terms of increase in employment generation. So I hope you remember that I talked about one model that is known as Harrod-Domer model. So creeping inflation has a relation with this model. So if you have not seen my previous video, so you can go to my previous video to again see the impact of creeping inflation. So there I have talked about Harrod-Domer model. So I'll just tell you that if you search on StudyIQ IAS English channel, so there is one video with a thumbnail, meaning of inflation. So there you will understand why creeping inflation is desirable for any economy. So if you search on YouTube this link, so you will find one video on the channel, that is meaning of inflation. So there you can study out Harrod-Domer model. So already I have covered, so I am not repeating it again in this video. So creeping inflation has a positive impact. Now when it comes to trotting and galloping inflation, so that is, you can say, is a sort of moderate level of inflation. Moderate level of inflation that has both positive and negative impact. Okay, so we'll see that what is the positive and negative impact. Now whenever you have trotting and galloping inflation. So your answer should be structured one also, because in this video, not what you can say, I am going to focus on conceptual clarity as well as how you have to present your answer to the examiner. Okay, because I believe that getting marks from UPSC examiner is just like when you write a good answer, or you can say selling yourself in order to get marks. So when I'm saying selling yourself, means selling your knowledge in order to fetch good marks. Clear? Now, when you talk about trotting and galloping, inflation, so there you will see one thing, that immediately whenever there is a inflation, okay, so that will have impact on those people who are having fixed income. Now, fixed income, for example, senior citizens, those who are getting pensions. Another example is students, those who are getting pocket money. Okay, laborers, and the list is, you can say, endless. So these are the people who are getting fixed income. Now we can understand with one example. Now here, for example, if person is earning 10,000 rupees or having 10,000 rupees per month, you will see, or what you will observe, that before inflation, or when I am using a word before inflation, I am saying before trotting or galloping inflation, you will see that that person is spending 6,000 on its essential commodities, or you can say spending 6,000 on essential items. Essential commodities, and rest 4,000 they are saving in the banks. They are saving in the banks. So this is what majority people are doing. Okay. So whatever they have a monthly income, so some income they are spending on essential items, and some they are saving in the banks. So this is what majority population does. Now, whenever there is a inflation, we have seen that whenever there is trotting and galloping inflation, your fixed income is constant, or you can say it has not increased. Fixed income is constant. So in that case, you will see that people will spend more on essential commodities. So earlier 6,000, now 8,000. So it means very less money is available with them to save in the banks. Clear? So ultimately, we can say now deposits in the banks will get reduced. Okay. Or you can say deposits in the savings, in the form of savings, will get reduced. So this is what you have to understand. Clear? Now, when inflation move towards runaway and hyperinflation, there you will see that no doubt in saying that these fixed income people will again get affected or impacted, but you will observe that whatever savings they have in the past, they start withdrawing it. Now please understand what concept I am telling you. So again I summarize it, that whenever inflation is trotting and galloping, so you will see that deposits in the form of savings will reduce, and whenever there is runaway, or you can say inflation move to runaway and hyperinflation, we will observe that there will be withdrawal of savings from the banks. So I hope now you understood what actually I am trying to, or what concept I am basically emphasizing on. So here deposits in the form of savings will reduce. Means at this level savings will be there, but not at that rate what we are getting before this level. But at this level, runaway and hyperinflation, savings, or you can say whatever savings we have in the banks, we start withdrawing it. Clear? So this is what you have to tell to the examiner. So normally it is mentioned in most of the books that savings get reduced. So you have to tell to the examiner with clarity that at which level savings get withdrawal and at which level saving rate, or you can say deposit rate, at which rate you are depositing savings, that will get reduced. So I hope this concept is clear to you. Okay. Now moving further, no doubt when you talk about impact, so first impact is on household. So we have seen that in terms of household, it is fixed income people, those who get impacted. Okay, so you can say purchasing power get reduced. Okay, that is why it has impact on savings. So you have to justify your knowledge to the examiner in this way. Clear? So now you can see the difference that normally students write savings, it has a, you can say, reduction in savings. But here I have made you write how you have to present this point in exam. Clear? Okay. Second impact when it comes to inflation. So you will see that it has impacts on banks also. Okay. It has impacts on banks also. Or here I am talking about, you can say, lender. Okay. So we'll understand with one example. So in case of inflation, lender is always at loss. So whenever there is inflation, lender is at loss. So UPSC is also asked this question in prelims. Whereas borrower, or you can say the one who has taken the debt, that is in profit. So we can understand this with one example. Now for example, on assume any date, for example on 1st of September, on 1st of September, suppose India is having creeping inflation, means whatever we are looking for. And when this is the situation, we have seen that rate of interest for borrowing, or you can say lending rate for borrowing that banks are offering is, for example, 7%. Just taking one number for your understanding. Now, if suppose this is 7%, now at this situation or scenario, you will see, or assume that you have taken a loan for 2 years. So you have taken a loan for 2 years. So for example, you have taken a loan of 10 lakh for 2 years. Now, once you have taken loan on this date, immediately after 2 months, so 2 months means around November, immediately after 2 months, that is on 1st November, you will see that our economy is having inflation. So either it is, you can say, trotting or galloping, anyone. So economy is having inflation, that is trotting and galloping. So there you will see that lender will have a loss. Why? Because when inflation at this level, means when inflation has moved from creeping to trotting and galloping, no doubt that at this level, Monetary Policy Committee has changed the repo rate. And when I'm saying change the repo rate, it means they have increased the repo rate. So it means what will happen? What will happen that whenever they increase the repo rate, lending rate will also increase. Lending rate will also increase. So it will be more than 7%. So when I'm saying it will be more than 7%, it means that it will be around 9 or 10%. Now, ultimately, banks know that if loan has been given on this time period, we were getting 9 to 10%, but we have given loan in the past. So for that, we are getting 7%. But borrower is happy that I have taken money at less price or less rate of interest, which I am utilizing at the time of inflation. So that is why whenever there is trotting and galloping inflation, so lender is not happy, whereas borrower is happy. Clear? So this is what you have to understood. Okay. If this point is not cleared, so what I am going to tell you in another point, then it will get automatically clear. Okay. So don't worry about it. So it's all about conceptual clarity. Okay. So economy is not about mugging up the things. It is realizing the things. Clear? Next. Now, whenever there is trotting and galloping inflation, big businessman and big farmers. So I'm talking about big businessman and big farmers. I'm not talking about small businessman and small farmers. So big businessman and big farmers are happy. Now, why they are happy? The answer is very simple. Because if you see that when there was no inflation or whenever there was no inflation, these big businessmen and big farmers used to have production in excess. So for example, take any product. For example, take this pen. Now, when there was no inflation, or you can say creeping inflation was there, so I produced this pen, for example, at the price of, you can say my cost of production is 10 rupees. But if the same pen I produced during the time of inflation, my production cost comes out, you can say 14 rupees. Now, ultimately, there is a margin of 4 rupees. But luckily, I have produced this pen at the time when there was no inflation. Means I have produced those pen at bulk prices, or you can say in bulk. Okay, that is at the cost of production of 10 rupees. Now, whenever there is inflation, I will sell that product at inflated price. So it means my profit margin will increase. Clear? So you can understand in this way the previous point, that if I have taken a borrowing at a time when there was no inflation, now using that borrowing I have done bulk production. Okay. Keeping this thing in mind that whenever inflation will be there, I will release my product in the market. So it means my profit margin will increase. Clear? So this is what you have to understood in this context. So every time big businessmen and big farmers will get happy. So I hope this point is also clear to you. Okay. Now, whenever there is inflation, government is not happy. Why? Because government fiscal deficit get increased. Now, when I'm talking about fiscal deficit, so we can understand in this way. For example, if suppose the price of LPG cylinder is 1000 rupees. So the price of LPG cylinder is 1000 rupees and 700 is paid by you, that is by the consumer, and rest 300 is paid by the government in the form of subsidy. So government is paying rest 300 in the form of what? Subsidy. Now inflation is there. So the new price of LPG cylinder is, for example, 1200 rupees. So ultimately at this time, consumer is again paying 700, but government is paying how much now? 500. Now this increase in the subsidy bill, or you can say this increase in the or inflation is responsible for increase in subsidy bill. Now if subsidy bill will increase, no doubt in saying that it is responsible for inflation, or it is responsible for increase in fiscal deficit. So ultimately inflation has impact on fiscal deficit, and that impact is negative. Okay. Now sometimes I have seen that some student used to say, in order to, like, when I talk about cost push inflation or any reasons for the inflation in my previous videos, so I have seen that many students used to ask one thing, that sir, whenever inflation is there, why not government give, you can say, increased income from its side to you poor person. No doubt if government will give, so that is responsible for increase in fiscal deficit, and ultimately when FD will increase, so you can say it will go against the rules and regulation which are framed under FRBM Act, that is Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. So ultimately government has to balance all the things. So on one side they have a target of fiscal deficit, on other side they have a target to control inflation. So now you understood that why we have a target for inflation. Clear? So this is what you have to remember, that fiscal deficit will increase in inflation. Similarly, our country is also facing current account deficit. So here basically my focus is on macro parameters. Okay. So my country is also facing current account deficit. So when I am talking about current account deficit, it means what? That whenever inflation will be there, so for example, assume that this product in my economy after inflation is, for example, 20 rupees. Okay. So for example, the cost of pen that consumer is paying is rupees 20. This is after inflation. But in foreign country, the same pen is produced. Okay. And for the same pen, or you can say the same pen in foreign country is at the cost of, when you convert their foreign currency into Indian rupees, for example, in the cost of 14 rupees. So ultimately what I want to say, that inflation is in my economy, that is in India, but not in foreign country. So ultimately there the cost of this pen is 14 rupees. Now what you can say Indian people will do, they start consuming foreign product, and when they start consuming foreign product, it means more import. Okay. And export will also be less. Why? Because Indian product, or in Indian economy there is inflation. So ultimately the price of Indian product in foreign market is costly, or you can say it is not competitive. So that there will be increase in the gap of current account deficit, or you can say there will be increase in the gap of export and import, that will responsible for increase in current account deficit, as well as it will have impact on exchange rate. So when I am saying exchange rate, it means I am saying that our currency or Indian currency will get depreciated. So this is what you have to remember. So there will be depreciation of Indian currency due to inflation. Now I hope you understood why it is important to manage inflation in a country. Clear? Now this is what I am telling you. Basically I am focusing on if inflation is trotting and galloping. Clear? So ultimately if I again summarize it, so what I have covered it, that if we have trotting and galloping inflation, so it will have impact on household. So especially fixed income, especially those people who are having fixed income, number one. Number two, so first when we are talking about fixed income, so ultimately here my focus is that purchasing power will get reduced and deposits in banks, or you can say savings in banks, will also get reduced. Number two, we have seen that when it comes to bank, so lender, or you can say banks who are lender, they are not happy. Okay. Plus borrower is happy. Okay. So lender is not happy. Plus borrower is happy. So this is what you have to tell. Third, when I'm talking about, you can say big businessman and big farmers, they are happy. They are happy. So automatically I have told you, or I have told you the reason also. Fourth, government is also not happy. So it has a negative impact. Why? Because fiscal deficit will increase. And when it comes to external sector, or you can say balance of payment, so you will say that current account deficit will increase, as well as currency or Indian currency will get depreciated. So this is a case of trotting and galloping inflation. So my question in the beginning is, what is the impact or effect of inflation on an Indian economy? So here you have to first tell that at different degree of inflation level, means if it is creeping, it has positive impact. If it is trotting and galloping, it has a both positive and negative impact written in front of you. And if it is, you can say, runaway and hyper, it has only negative impact. Clear? It has only negative impact. Clear? So this is what you have to tell to the examiner. Okay. And here next, overall, if these are the things happening due to this, so ultimately we can say that there is a reduction in growth rate. Which we call technically a term slowdown. Slow down. Okay. So don't say recession, because sometimes you will see that someone has written recession and you say, yes, sir, it is correct. Okay. Recession will be there when it is runaway and hyperinflation. Okay. So at this level, you will not face recession. Clear? At this level, you will not face recession. Now moving further. Now when there is, you can say, runaway and hyperinflation, now what will happen here is, now first of all, I have already told you that there is withdrawal of savings. There will be withdrawal of savings, number one. Number two, now here you can write that recession will be there. Okay. So when you reach at this level, that is runaway and hyperinflation, recession will be there. Number three, you will see that there will be increase in poverty at this level. Okay. Number four, there will be rise in unemployment. Now definitely some of you may be having a doubt that, sir, why unemployment at this level, why not at this level? Yes, at this level also there will be impact on employment, but in terms of, you can say, there will be no new employment generation. Means those who are existing or those who are working, they will still remain in the job. Okay, but it is not led to unemployment. Okay, so ultimately at this level, that is at this level, when it comes to impact on employment, so you have to tell that no employment generation. No employment generation. Okay, but when you come to this level, you will see that already there is no unemployment generation or no employment generation, as well as those who are working, they will get unemployed. So this is what you have to tell to the examiner. Clear? So this is what is your whole answer that you have to represent in, you can say, in a systematic manner, organized manner, So normally don't write like this ki impact of inflation means you start mess up all these points. So you have to clarify it separately that at what degree of inflation what will happen or what is the impact. I hope along with conceptual clarity now you have understanding that how to write an answer in your mains also, and definitely after listening this video, especially of today's lecture, you have some confidence that if question will come, you can easily tackle it if you have a conceptual clarity. And if yes, you have a confidence, so please tell me in comment section, yes sir, I got some conceptual clarity and some idea also. And stay tuned for more videos, because I'll come with more conceptual clarity or such videos which will help you to clear your concepts as well as how to write your answers in mains. Clear? So you have to be different from others because it's a competition. Okay. So we'll meet soon. So have a nice day. Jai Hind.